talking to my kids about, they'll be outside and they want to step on an ant. And you're like, no. You can't do that because you don't have the choice to, yes, he's a much smaller creature than you are, but we don't have the choice to take away from that little thing. And again, going back to, we're just all fancy cavemen in suits. So, let's talk about it. So let's talk about desire. So that's the first step. So we'll get into the 13 steps. So desire. So what does desire mean? What does it mean to you? How have you applied it? We'll go through each step.
So I kind of already explained where it comes from, the roots of the word, and in my life. So I'm in sales, and I train guys in sales, and that's one thing that I think is missing from
the desire.
Yeah, not just from sales, but I think from life, is that people, just like you said, like we just kind of get caught up in our 9 to 5, 40 hours a week. How does the saying go? 40 hours a week for 40 years for 40 grand a year. Right? We get caught up in the daily monotony of all of it. Mm-hmm. And then it just becomes life. Yeah. Like that's what it is. Yeah. There's no more fire. There's no more passion or desire. There's nothing there. Yep. We're just doing it because that's what we cavemen do. Right? Mm-hmm. We go out and collect meat and bring it back because that's what we do.
Right.
But that's not
what
a life.
We do. Right. Yeah.
Like I think I know there's so much more to life than that. There has to be. Yeah. The greater intelligence wouldn't put us here for us just to have a crappy existence.
40, yeah. Yeah. Right, yeah.
I think the greater intelligence wants us to accomplish and to progress and to be better than when we started. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And that's why he's given us, the greater intelligence has given us what they have given us. Yeah. Our desires. Because without them, all we do is 40 again. Right, just like you said. So.
And he even talks about that in here too, is that, in specialized planning, organized planning, when he talks about, just the person that's going into the job, the one that researches and puts together the best possible essentially like sales presentation to the person that they're trying to get, that they, by starting a few steps ahead, they're essentially getting a lot further in life rather than starting at the bottom and working your way up, because you do find yourself in that 40, and then it just becomes...
Just jumping through the hoops because that's what we need to do.
Yeah. And it's crazy. Why do we... I guess just because it's just that there maybe isn't that desire, or that there isn't... But why would we just accept that? Maybe because we just haven't, I don't know, we haven't done, I think there's a difference between somebody like you and I compared to somebody that's just going to sit there and watch TV all day long. Not that there's anything wrong with TV, but just like your brain is a muscle, very similar to your bicep. If you're not working it out,
the weeds pop up, right?
The weeds pop up, yeah.
It's interesting because I think, I just completely lost my train of thought. But
no, it's okay.
Yeah, I don't know where that thought was going.
No, it's okay. I think that the thing is, though, too, is that we have to have the desires in life to be able to continue to grow of what we want. Mm-hmm. And again, the cool thing is that you could have whatever desire you want. And that's the greatest thing about life, is that, if you walked into Baskin Robbins and they only had vanilla, eventually you're not going to even want ice cream anymore, because it's just the same. But... because of the what do they got? 32 flavors, 31 flavors, 30 flavors, that it makes it really a beautiful thing. And I think that, as humans, we tend to gravitate towards what we are comfortable with. Mm-hmm. So if I'm one genre, I want to stay in that one genre because of that safety. But there's so many different beauties in life of the different cultures. That's why I really don't understand things like racism and stuff like that, because it's almost just like, no, I'm mad because you're different and I don't want to know anything about you, rather than like, well, no, tell me about it, because this is a different flavor that I've never, experienced in life. And all of these beautiful, even, the paintings and stuff like that in this room, if it was just one white color, it's not going to be as beautiful or as stimulating. And it comes down to the desires. I think that's what my long-winded point is.
And I think that desire is, to go back to your question earlier, I think it's conditioned out of us from our parents, from our teachers, from our professors, from people living in the norm.
Yeah.
Right. If we have anything outside of the norm, people are like, what are you doing?
Right.
You're supposed to go. I was talking to a lady at church today, and I was like, no, I'm done with. I told her I was not going to go back to college, and she's like, ooh, that's a bad thing. You need to go get your degree. And she pointed over to my wife and 2 kids. She's like, do you want to take care of them when you grow up? And it was like, it was offensive almost.
Right.
But it was just the conditioning that we have as a society, that's what we do. It's the norm. But so many people just let that conditioning affect them. And then we don't have our desires anymore. Because our desire might be to go to the moon. But if we have 100 people a year tell us that we can't go to the moon, after 20 years, we're going to be like, yeah, I guess we can't go to the moon.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just conditioned out of us, and it's no longer even a possibility.
Yeah.
And then we could go to, we could have a conversation like this with someone, go to an event with like a Tony Robbins or a Grant Cardone or someone.
Sure.
Where it kind of lights that up. But everyone around us has been conditioned, and we've conditioned ourselves. We let that fire go for 2 or 3 days, and people are like, wait, why are you working so hard?
Right.
Well, come back here and work your 40 hours with us.
Come back to the safety.
Exactly. Come back to the safety. And then we just get our face kicked in by everyone who loves us and wants us to be safe and successful, but only to the amount that they've ever accomplished.
Yeah. And, it's funny, too, because I always had the saying is like, if a 10-year-old boy was standing on a cliff and had never, ever been exposed to you cannot fly, could he? And your brain immediately, a lot of times when I say that, your brain goes, oh no, of course he couldn't. But why does it go there? It's because of this conditioning of like conditioning that desire out. And again, is it that he can't fly because we just don't have, because of what we've been told that we don't have, that you can't fly, Noah, you don't have wings, we're not like that bird. But the difference is that bird, same thing, when he flew out of the nest, he had no idea if he could or couldn't, and he just yes, he's got the biological wingspan. But why can an incredibly heavy plane with hundreds of thousands of however many pounds the people weigh, and then you add the luggage and then the plane and all of the plane itself, like, well, why can that fly? Sean, it's because of the jets that are on there and they're so powerful and they can create this. Well, how did that happen? Yeah. And even the thing, like the Wright brothers, like, oh no, you can't fly, you can't, what are you doing? But it took these 2 brothers to go out there and be able to do that. So I think what you're saying is that, and I would totally agree with you. We're just over domesticated. We're really overstimulated. Somebody said that to me one time, and it makes a lot of sense. And the thing that I think we really have to be careful about is the more technological we get, the more we have to be careful, because you have young kids and I have young kids. We've really got to be careful about their generation, because all of that stuff is just almost like plugged into them.
There's greater separation between who we are inside and technology. Right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of good that can come
from
it.
It's incredible,
But there's also a great disconnect.
There's a huge disconnect. Yeah.
I gave a training one time. So I love meditation, and I thought about this one time while I was meditating. Gave a training on it that we are as individuals, we're like the motherboard, for example, on like a computer or something. The outward expression of us is a sales pitch. This is what I said in my training, right? So if we ever want to make a connection, which is sales entirely, is the transference of energy and emotion. If we ever want to make a connection to a customer, potential customer, and we do that and we just do that with the outward expression of ourselves, there's no power. We have to hook the 2 back to ourselves and then we give it power.
Yeah.
But if we're just doing the two alone, there's no power behind it.
Yeah.
And we can give all the sales pitches we want every day.
Yeah.
But if we're not putting ourselves and our passions and our desires and our hopes and dreams into it, it's just another sales pitch.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I think having that connection with technology is important, but I think also disconnecting once in a while and having that connection with ourselves is 1,000 times more important.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think that's important too, that we are cognizant of transferring that power over to, or that knowledge, and allowing them to do whatever they want with it, to our kids in general as well. Because, I think there's just there's so many different, it's so easy just to give your kids the iPad. It's so easy just to give them the phone, and it's an epidemic. Like everybody's just walking around. If you go to the store, and I'd say probably on the low end, 3 out of 5 kids walking around that are smaller that can sit inside the cart are having a phone in their hand. It's just easier.
It's just easy.
Yeah, and it might be easier now, but really when it comes down to it is, I was in a restaurant picking up food yesterday, and the lady, she had everything that she was a young lady. She was probably no more than 22. She was probably somewhere between 19 and 20. And she had everything that you would put on paper, like smile and greet them and say hello. And she did that. It was fine. I came in and I had a pickup order. And then she went to the back to check on something. I think it was my food or something. And she came up to the front. She goes, "Oh, how can I help you?" Like, what?
Yeah.
You just did 30 seconds ago.
Yeah.
Is this a computer program that you just don't? And that's what I think we just have to realize. If we just let our kids if we rob our kids of showing them what a proper desire is, or undesire, then they're going to walk through life going just kind of like pre-programmed into whatever they want, and then they're going to walk up to the front of the same. It's almost like a drone. Oh, how can I help you? Do So step one is desire, and I think that I think there's a reason that that's step one, is that you can't build the campfire. You can't build the campfire